This portion of the show brought to you by Dan Shaney Insurance. Dan Shaney bringing you our YouTube stream coverage. And if you're on the YouTube, look at my eyes. Look at how tiny my pupils are. It's like I'm what am I like? What do you look like when you're like this? Like you're possessed? I just woke up from a nap. And people are telling me that I don't even know what the Rodgers trade was yet. I mean, I understand he's at the Jets, around the Jets. I don't even know what it was yet. I don't even know the compensation. Apparently, Gutekunst is talking soon. Anyway, I thought I'd jump on here and talk a little bit. This is not the best coverage that I could provide, as I just woke up. But I guess, how do I feel? How do I feel? I need to wake up first, I guess. How do I feel? All right, so Goody is going to talk soon. We'll have to I'll play that audio-wise. Jesus. All right, the trade compensation for Aaron Rodgers. Jets get Aaron Rodgers, pick number 15, and a 2023 fifth-round pick. The Packers get pick number 13. Oh, we swapped. A 2023 second, number 42, and a sixth-round pick, number 207. So we're going to draft some scrub that can always say, I was in the trade for Aaron Rodgers. And then we also get a 2024 second-round pick that becomes a first if Rodgers plays 65% of the plays. So that's better than it being like Super Bowl or AFC Championship or, playoffs. That's better, because then we don't have to root for the Jets to do good. I didn't want to have to root for the Jets to do anything. I just wanted to trade them and move on. This is about as close to that as possible. And a second-round pick, so if he's only playing for a year and they get a second-round pick, then they get a second-round pick. So if he only plays for a year, they get a second-round pick. And then it actually becomes a first-round pick if he plays 65% of the plays. That's not terrible. So that seems like a pretty good deal. All things considered, this seems like a pretty decent trade for Aaron Rodgers. Now, it's not what they would have got from the Broncos a year ago, obviously, but it seems fine. And I think we're at a good point here where we can talk about the trade as being the trade, because Aaron Rodgers got traded. As my friend Chuck Freeman would say, knock me over with a feather. We knew it was coming. So, not a big surprise. It's just now that we knew that was going to happen, we can actually discuss it from a trade compensation point. All right. I am going to throw the link out here on YouTube. I mean, thank you if you're here. I literally just woke up. And I don't know how. I woke up to a text, but the text isn't what woke me up. I woke up I just woke up on my own accord and then looked and saw I had text. I have my text on silent, but I looked and I just emerged from the shadows. I have no idea how. Paul Emig, who would question our friendship forever if I didn't go live for him. Paul, look at my eyes.
Yeah, you were napping for sure.
I mean, this is insane. I look like Mr. Burns when he was an alien out of the woods.
Is that a deep cut? I know the reference, but it's been a long time.
No, it shouldn't be a deep cut. I mean, if you know anything about Simpsons, you've at least seen the GIF. All right, so I think that as I'm just looking at literally reading the details for the first time, the trade,
Good.
I had not seen it.
Oh,
I just like jumped on.
this will be fun. I want to hear your live reaction.
Well, I just gave it.
I missed it.
It seems good. I mean, if they negotiated this long for the pick swap, I mean, that is kind of like dumb. I like the conditional aspect of it because we don't have to root for how the Jets do.
Yes.
And then also, we don't have to be on Rodgers' watch next year.
Right.
Because if he doesn't play, we get a second. And if he plays, we could get a first. But it's not so contingent that
say that part again, because I feel like say what you just said again about a
conditional 2024 second round pick.
Yep.
That becomes a first if Rodgers plays 65% of the plays.
Right.
Oh, that's already for this year?
That's correct. That's for this that's for this season. So in the 2023 season, all Rodgers has to do is play 65% of the snaps, which only a major injury would stop him from doing that, as we saw.
Pick doesn't matter if he plays next year or not.
Right. It does not matter if he plays
well, like I just said, knock me over with a feather indeed.
Seriously, that is a really important part of this. Is what the Jets were hanging on to was this idea of like, well, Rodgers said he was 90% retired. And so if he does retire after only 1 year, we want protections on that. Brian Gutekunst very, very much won the tug of war. 100% won, because he said that is an irrelevant part of this component. If Rodgers plays 65%, which equates to like if he plays 11 games, if Rodgers plays 11 of the 17 regular season games, give or take, he will hit the threshold. And if Rodgers hits that 65% of the snaps in the 2023 season threshold, the Packers get the Jets' 2024 first round pick. And even if a major injury does strike, it's still a second. So now that you're digesting what the protections are, which are, I will tell you what I think that's a huge win. Gutekunst did extremely well. The Jets wanted this done before the draft. They wanted it off their shelf. And don't get me wrong, the Packers did too. But if any Jets fan wants to come to you and say, see, Jets had the leverage, that's a falsehood. It's just not true. This negotiation proves that the Packers had the leverage, in fact, and used it this year. Used it right now. Used it today. Yes, the Jets, of course, got the player. They got the future first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. But when you knew this guy was already gone, for Gutekunst to get this much, the Packers did extremely well.
And you're telling me that because I recorded an episode with Sparky, Kurt, and Long.
Okay.
But I recorded it 3 hours before the trade happened.
Oh, that's probably a very irrelevant podcast now.
Well, we did talk about the draft a little bit. I don't know. I'm awaiting a text from him to redo
it. He might also be napping and waking up to this like you did.
But I literally just woke up. I went on YouTube. That part I got cut off for the podcast, but I went on YouTube. Like I don't think I woke up until the 3rd minute I was on the Dan Shaney insurance stream. So
did my text message wake you or did you just happen to wake up?
No, I woke up normal. I just woke up. I wanted to take like a 2-hour nap. And sometimes I sit down for a 2-hour nap, take a 4-hour nap.
Sure.
But I got up. I was up.
Yeah.
And then I looked immediately at my phone and I think I did see a text from you with some of the details on Schefter, but it didn't wake me up.
Okay.
Then I robotically started walking downstairs like, oh, shit. I might as well go live. Then my brother called to FaceTime. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Get the other Winkler on the StreamYard.
So let me go through some of the comments real quick. Joe says, happy birthday to me. It's Joe's birthday this week. Joe in Iowa. Brian says, like the trade, just wish we didn't give up our first round pick.
I mean, you did, but you didn't give up your first round pick. You moved up 2 spots.
Yeah, I don't think he can't know that. He's got to. He can't. There's you didn't.
What?
You didn't give up your first round pick.
Right, you did not. You swapped. You moved up 2 spots.
Yeah, you still have it. It's just 2 spots. It's actually better, Brian. You'll get there. Maybe I mean, I didn't know the trade until 8 minutes into talking to you. So
no, well, and when you have like protections like that, it is funky. It's it's not like it's just a straight up deal. Yeah, so I get it, but just to be clear, they moved up to. So yes, they gave up their first, but they got a first this year by moving up 2 spots. And by the way, this officially puts on the 72-hour countdown clock to Jackson Smith and Jigba hype, because yes, there will be some narrative based, mocking, because when the Packers, after all these years with Favre and Rodgers, finally draft a wide receiver in the first round, build your jokes now, everybody. But I have a feeling that is what will happen at pick 13 on Thursday night.
Look, I just want the best player, but I also want that guy. So
I think you want the best player, but that would be electrifying. And there's it seems like a decent likelihood of being what happens. Continue with your comments.
Superfan Mike Wickett says, Packers win the trade. All you need is love. And so that's going to bring me back to what I was talking about with Sparky. Is I was saying I really don't care like what they trade. I just want it done. Obviously, you do care to an extent, but I want it done. And the other thing I said was I hope they get past the draft. I hope they don't trade him pre-draft, because I want to really put it to the Jets. Like, I want to really get the most out of him possible.
You did.
But I feel like this is that trade.
You did. You got the most you could have possibly hoped to expect.
The deal includes a second. We're swapping the ones.
Yep. Move up 2 spots.
We're getting a second rounder.
The better of the 2 Jets second rounders, number 42. So they got the better of the options. Yep.
And then a guaranteed second rounder next year. Yep. First, if he plays 65% of the snaps, which if he's anywhere close, the Jets will Dallas Mavericks their way into the sidelines. But I mean, that's not the intention.
Yeah.
That's for a team that flew out there a month ago, signed Alan Lazard and Tim Boyle as the hooks.
Yeah.
This is a great trade for the Packers.
Great trade.
And anyone on the Jets who says they won the trade, like if they value Rodgers that much,
sure.
Which I don't, but if they do, but in terms of the picks, I think the Jets fans thought they were going to give up a lot less than what they did.
For sure. And the Jets with Aaron Rodgers versus with Zach Wilson are a much better team in 2023. The reality is that the Packers had already moved on to Jordan Love. Privately, publicly, Aaron Rodgers had stated his intent to play for the Jets. So from that standpoint, it seemed like a matter of when, not if. I think if there's anybody who can objectively look at this and say, man, did Brian Gutekunst mess this up? That's just not.
Peter in Milwaukee in the comments says, pathetic. We could have gotten way more.
No.
How embarrassing. I would rather have Rodgers sit behind Love than this garbage. Pedrin says, what? And then Peter says, look at what washed Russell Wilson got and tell me with a straight face Packer fans won this trade delusional.
Sure,
and to this I will only say that's something a casual would say. You don't understand the words you just said. You went into a Mexican restaurant and you thought you ordered enchilada and you basically said, where is the library? You're dumb. You just don't, or maybe you're not dumb, but you're willing to come out this strongly. You don't have the knowledge of the situation to play in this space if these are your takes. Because how do you? It's like you heard 5% of the conversation over the last 100 years. Of course, they didn't get as much for Russell Wilson. They could have if they traded him last year.
That's right.
Wilson was not washed until after he got traded.
Yep.
You would rather have him sit than how why am I even entertaining this comment? I'm going to move on.
Move on.
I'm going to bring in Q, who is at work.
This is amazing. God. This is amazing. Like, I don't know who this Peter guy is. Like, please just move on from this podcast if you think this wasn't a good trade, because you haven't been following along with us for, like, this has been going on since last year. Like, Bart, I called in to congratulate you.
Shut up. So your work changed because you look the same, except you worked up your hair is what you did. That's your work hair.
This is no. I wear this when I go to Bucks games.
Oh, are you wearing a hat normally when I talk to you?
Maybe, I don't know.
Your hair looks like you're at work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, by the time you see me, I've like gone on a walk and worn a hat or something like that. But yeah, I'm just saying, Bart, like we have been talking about this since the 1250 days, which it's almost been a year, and we were talking about it like 2 summers ago. So I just called to congratulate you that it's over. It's over. Like, we don't have to talk about the trade anymore. It went through. We're getting probably a first, because unless he goes crazy, which is like I guess 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
And then if he gets hurt, probably not 50-50, unless he it looks, the only way I could see him fake an injury is like if it becomes apparent they're not going to make the playoffs. And
if they're going 3-6, he's going to be hurt.
Well, yeah. So
Bart, you saw what he did this past season. How short is your short-term memory? He's going
to. How long is your long-term memory?
Until the Jets are mathematically eliminated, Aaron Rodgers is going to play.
Oh, he played so bad in those last 5 games,
but he
did not win those games.
But he played in those games,
and then everyone wants to tell me chip on his shoulder Rodgers is going to come out balling, and Rodgers motivated. All right, so then he wasn't motivated to beat the Lions at home on Sunday Night Football. Like, that's the Rodgers in my head.
He was motivated to beat the Lions, and then he found out you were up in the suites, and he said, "To hell with this."
This is our second emergency pod of the day. Actually, our third emergency pod of the day. I also did one when Tucker Carlson got let go. And then I did one rightly fair with Don Lemon.
Mm-hmm. And Giannis is playing tonight. So
Giannis,
it's just like one good news story after another. No Tucker.
Would this be fair to say?
Giannis,
this
no
is
Rodgers.
A non-political thing. This is I'm mentioning someone in the realm of politics, but understand that my take on this is not political. Paul, you do not have to be blacked out for this. This is not that bad.
I just had to check a text message, and I can't do that. And look, go ahead.
The Tucker Carlson news, I reacted as shocked as anything I've ever reacted to since I saw Kobe Bryant pass away. I was stunned.
It's like conflicting reports, because some say that he was pushed out and some say that he left. So I'm sure he will land on his feet and get.
I just wanted to say how shocked I was, and that
it
seemed to.
All right, it's Aaron Rodgers was traded.
I can't believe, of everyone that's ever died, I still have a hard time believing Kobe's gone. I really do.
Yeah,
it's really hard to believe. All right. Sorry, I brought it up. Bodie, as of this current moment, the Jets won this trade. The Packers winning this trade requires Love to pan out. Early on-field signs have been bad. I think that's an argument the Jets fans would make, because I think what we're arguing is, I don't think that maybe we're not arguing that Rodgers is a part of the deal. Jets fans are looking at, we got 4-time MVP Aaron Rodgers, and we're looking at it like we got rid of him and we're finally free to move on to Jordan Love.
And I got to go, but I think the piece that's missing is the getting rid of the contract.
Yeah.
Like only having to pay a portion of it this year and then basically being free. Yeah. And like he's gonna go crazy. And even if he does well, like can you imagine being the coach of that team with Odell and Rodgers in the same locker room, like the chances of one of them going crazy or going crazy at each
This
other.
just in from
Yeah.
last week. Odell signed with the Ravens.
Oh no!
Come
I
on,
forgot.
Q.
I forgot. I just thought it was a foregone conclusion.
Q, go play with Peter. You two both don't even care about sports.
I care about sports. I think I'm just overjoyed with all the news that came out today, and then we get to watch Giannis just dunk all over the Heat and guard Jimmy, so he only scores like 15 points. It's gonna be a great day. So I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, see you, Q.
See ya. Bart, to Bodie's comment, we don't know if Jordan Love is going to be good, and if he's good in his first year as a starter, that would be unlikely. Like the chances of, I mean, go back and watch Aaron Rodgers 2008. You can just go back and look at the Packers record. I don't think the actual, if Brian Gutekunst is, and by the way, as we're talking, I think Brian Gutekunst just started his press conference, didn't he?
Oh, I don't know.
So Brian Gutekunst was scheduled to talk for his pre-draft press conference, already scheduled, like right now. So if you see tweets about Brian Gutekunst, this was already scheduled to happen.
Here, I got you.
Directly from Ron. And that was really important. It was all the lessons that they had learned from Ron or other people passing down, and it's a process that we believe in. The way we go about kind of taking scouts in from the beginning and training them.
This has nothing to do with anything.
Those guys go through that and
did I miss the beef?
All the lessons that maybe I learned 20-some years ago being passed down to them, not directly from me, but from these other guys. I think that it's something continuing a lot of that. The process.
All right, I missed the beef.
Continuing that.
Yeah,
I missed the beef for the matter. Okay, I got a couple here from Ryan Wood.
Well, no, hold on. So I just would say, like, the Jordan Love being good in this, his fourth season, his first year as a starter, the Packers were already committed to this. So, like the right thing to do from an asset perspective would have been trade Rodgers last year. That would have been perfectly fine with me at the time if they had traded him to Denver for the Russell Wilson package. I was on board with it at that time. A lot of people weren't. Some people were. But once that ship sails, this is absolutely like the most that any two negotiators like would have hoped that the Packers could have possibly come out with, given the circumstances. And again, I would repeat this. If Jordan Love isn't good, and it's not looking likely that he's going to become good, and the Packers go 5-12, and they have the Jets' first-round pick next year, let's say Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps, the Packers might have the 8th pick and the 19th pick. There's two world-beater quarterbacks coming out of the draft next year. If they can somehow get it. So the point is, there's not like, well, if Jordan Love is bad, the Packers lose the trade. They were already committed to this path. And if he's not good, which, again, you should go in with very, minimal expectations for a first-year starting quarterback, even though it is his fourth season, because Aaron Rodgers, like there were signs of hope in the 2008 season that Rodgers was going to be really good, but he wasn't great right off the bat in 2008. So, even if the Packers are bad or Jordan Love is bad, there's an immediate path out of that middle ground. Because
this feels to me more like Bodie's coming up with the first counter take that he can. And then he'll argue to the death because that's what he does. But
I mean, like if you're saying like which team in 2023 is going to be better, the Jets or the Packers, it's the Jets. The Jets.
Oh no, I got $100 on Horvath. It's the Packers.
That the Packers will have a better record than the Jets.
Yeah.
And you did a straight up bet on that?
I think we're over. I don't think Rodgers is as good. I think he's going to go there, have a couple good games, and then he's going to go flat on his ass.
But so forget the quarterback position. The Jets have a much better roster. Yes.
Sure. Why? Because they got Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall,
Sauce Gardner. They were a competent quarterback away from being extremely dangerous.
I don't know about that.
Okay. Well, I think you're going to lose that bet.
They did beat us last year in Lambeau with Zach Wilson. So I'll pause this for now and do more research before I just have my counterbalance take. I'm doing the same exact thing I just accused another of. And I think also it's at this point in the process where you had where you were ready to move on. Like, yes, obviously they could have got more for him last year.
Yep.
That is established. and irrelevant. 'Cause
Well,
what
not
happened?
I mean, it's irrelevant to what happened today.
Yeah, what happened today was they were in a spot. I can just roll out of bed and talk Rodgers trade. How about that? They were in eventually. They were in a spot where, like, the only team that was willing to trade for Rodgers was so thirsty for Rodgers, and they shouldn't have had as much leverage. The trade shouldn't be as good as it is, but the Jets were they overstepped their boundaries so hard, and they were so like all in. And it wasn't already like, hey, I'm going to ask this girl to prom and hopefully she says yes. They already spent money on like fireworks in the sky that spell out Ashley, you know. They've already gone for it. They've already done it. And so the Packers still got all of this out of him. Now, this may help your argument. It may hurt it. Here's a tweet from Nick Corte.
Okay. He
says, according to the Jason over the cap Pro Football Focus Brad chart, they have a chart based on trades.
Okay.
If you took the package of everything together, what the Packers essentially traded Aaron Rodgers for is worth the 7th overall pick in the draft.
That's an awesome trade.
And if the conditional kicks in, it's the 3rd overall pick in the draft.
You're telling me
that's the value of the package.
So first off, thank you for sharing that. You're telling who's ever against this trade, and again, establishing the fact that they could have gotten far more a year ago, the Russell Wilson Denver deal. Yes, 100%. Yes, go back in time, you would do that 100 times out of 100 if you could. Given what this is, Aaron Rodgers turning 40 in December, coming off the season that he just had, you just got either the 3rd or the 7th overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
You crushed it. Like, that's an awesome deal for Brian Gutekunst. And, again, removing that he didn't do what he probably wanted to do a year ago, which was do the unthinkable, which is trade a back-to-back MVP in the offseason of 2022. Okay, he didn't do that. Okay, fine. He probably wanted to. He didn't. Okay, you can ding him for that. I think that's totally fair. But given the circumstances, to use that chart and say the Packers got either the 3rd or the 7th overall pick in value is a huge win. Huge win for the Packers.
I'm going to bring in sporting a 105.7 FM The Fan t-shirt.
What?
The Sean O'Connell.
Oh!
I'm just glad it's over. Not the fan, but the trade. I'm just glad it's over. The real problem remains Matt LaFleur. If we could have got Saleh in return, I would be way on board. I hate Matt LaFleur. This is always going to be a problem. It doesn't matter. We could have whomever, Patrick Mahomes with friggin' Tom Brady as his backup. We're still not going to win the Super Bowl. F you, Matt LaFleur. I hate you more than anything else. Love you guys. See ya.
The Sean O'Connell.
Mic drop. Oh, yeah.
Bodie also says, can we trust Goot to use the picks effectively? And now it's another part of the story, I guess. Here's some things that Brian Gutekunst did say via Ryan Wood.
Okay.
A lot of things have been agreed upon, but the trade is not yet finalized.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
That came out and talked about that. It's done.
It's not approved by the league office. There's going to be 2 or 3 days of, just administrative stuff. It's not a big deal.
While working with this impending trade, Brian says he's been consumed with the draft. Hopefully there's some finality for everybody in it. And then he also says he has not talked to Rodgers shit since the Packers season ended. A couple of other comments on Facebook.
Nothing else big from Goody? All of these, that's it?
That's all that I got from Woody.
Okay.
Who else would I look at that hasn't blocked me?
Yeah, I think you've run out of options. I think it's Ryan Wood or bust, yeah.
Yeah. Ryan Wood and I are good. Matt Schneidman writes his articles in crayon. So what am I supposed to look at? Some more comments here. Oh, there was this Photoshop where he's wearing the number 8, like at Cal.
Yep.
And I would like to speak to that. I hope he wears the number 8. I don't like when numbers get retired and then they are reworn. I think that defeats the purpose. The number 12 in New York is retired for Joe Namath, who has said that he doesn't mind if Rodgers wears the jersey. And Rodgers, being Rodgers, I don't know what's more Rodgers like, actually. For him to wear 12 because he's worn it always in the pros, or for him to wear 8 because it starts anew. I don't know.
Can you hear me even though I'm not on video so I can look at Twitter?
Yes.
Your guy Domofsky, whose tweets you can't see, Gutekunst on why trading Rodgers was best. Quote, Aaron is obviously up there in age. Okay. That's honest. I think he's got some really good football left in him. As we got through the offseason, this made sense. Having Jordan sit for another year would have really delayed his development. I love that Gutekunst started with Aaron is obviously up there in age. So maybe that'll be a bulletin board for Rodgers. And the other one I thought was interesting was Ryan Wood. Brian Gutekunst asked if there was ever a moment he doubted this trade would get done. Quote, there were a few, no doubt. It was a long process. I felt it would get done all along, but there were times you had to be careful with how you proceeded going forward.
Because of the Jets?
I don't know, or because of Rodgers being who he is, that, Aaron wakes up one day and says, never mind, I'm retiring. All options were on the table given the person that you're trading, because he's a wild card.
Jerry Rice came back and wore 80 with the Seahawks. Steve Largent had retired. It was retired for him, but Steve Largent was in politics. So the last thing he was going to do was put up a stink. And then Peyton Manning wore 18 in Denver, even though it was retired by the Broncos for some quarterback back in the 40s. But his family said it was okay. I just think if you retire a number, you retire a number.
Yep.
You don't retire it and then go whatever.
Rodgers just wanted to split the difference between 4 and 12, so he went with 8.
This podcast will not age well. That's from my guy Peter. I don't even know what that like.
It means he means that the optimism that we are both expressing about the trade. Yeah, I get what he's.
I mean, I said the Bucs would sweep the Heat. I really don't care about aging well. Also, look at my face.
Speaking of aging well, right?
So how much do we owe this year? What's the financials of it?
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I don't know.
Okay.
They're not going to.
Does that matter?
We'd have to get on. I always forget his name. Who's our Packers cap guy?
Ingles, Ken.
Yeah, sorry, Ken. Read your stuff all the time. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna leave that up to Ken Ingles. So, yeah, they're gonna spread out like something like $40 million in dead cap money, I believe. It's not like the Packers walk away from this completely free of a burden cap wise.
Like, why did there need to, this trade was always going to have what's the right word for it? Escalator or
like a conditional aspect?
Yeah, it was always going to have some sort of, it was always going to. But
yeah.
Why? It doesn't, I don't even feel like it needed one.
Well, the reason is because Woody Johnson, the Jets owner, was panicking about Rodgers and his 90% retired comment.
But so they're they're basing it on this year.
No, that's why I'm saying that Brian Gutekunst, the negotiator, won the tug of war, because Woody Johnson, Jets owner, really felt like, well, if Rodgers doesn't play in 2024, then we shouldn't have to give you a pick. In fact, don't forget, part of the thing that the Jets wanted,
it feels like they tricked him.
Well, no. No, they had him in a corner, and the Jets said, you know what, we want to clear.
Because even if it was just for a second, it'd be fine. It'd be fine.
Yeah, but you know what though? This wasn't for a second. This was, as you mentioned earlier in the show, for
a second next year, in addition to the other stuff.
Oh, sure. Because I'm saying, the Packers, to your
point.
But then
there's the 65% play. Just that seems stupid. It seems like that. That's why I thought right away it was for next year, because that makes sense. Oh, 65% snaps next year. Okay.
Yeah.
But for this year, like, what are they protecting for this year? They're
Right.
trying to protect themselves.
I think that's one of those things where, you're Brian Gutekunst, and you to some extent, you probably can't believe that the conversation about the conditional aspect has gotten to the point of percentage of snaps this season. And you're probably like, sure, 65%, go ahead. That's fine. And the Jets could kind of go back to their ownership and they could say, well, look, this kind of guarantees us that Rodgers is going to be here this year and he's going to be committed. He's going to play, 2/3 of the snaps. But again, from a negotiating perspective, I think it's a pretty objective truth that Brian Gutekunst did extremely well. Keep in mind, I want to say this too, Bart, just in case some of your listeners don't know. The Jets wanted the Packers to have to give a pick to the Jets if Rodgers retired after this season. The Jets felt, as of a couple weeks ago, that if the Packers don't give the Jets a 2024 pick in the event of Rodgers retiring after the season, that the deal wasn't going to go through. Not only is there no conditional aspect that encompasses, well, if Rodgers only plays one season, the Packers have to give back this, or if Rodgers only plays this season, then the Packers don't get the first or the second next year. None of that happened. All it has to do with, as you've reiterated, is that Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps this season. Whether it's a one and done or not, there's nothing the Packers will have to give back in the future in terms of picks, which again was a sticking point for the Jets in these negotiations. And it's just all Rodgers has to do is basically not get hurt this year. So,
Rodgers could wear 0. Guys can wear 0s now.
But no, it's confirmed that he's wearing 8. I'm pretty sure.
It is?
Yeah.
So Goody won't even say the trade's official and it's confirmed that Rodgers is wearing 8?
Because you're talking about two different sides of this. You have the Jets marketing team.
Rodgers is expected to wear his college 8 on the Jets.
Yeah, he's wearing 8. I mean, there's not really... I would just tell you, Bart, I think there's some level of thinking that this trade didn't get done today. It got done a handful of days ago. And that Brian Gutekunst wanted it to be done prior to his pre-draft press conference. The fact that this deal got leaked, announced, call it what you want, 5 minutes before Gutekunst is on the podium to talk about his pre-draft press conference, not a coincidence. So yeah, I think it's at this point relatively, seems relatively certain that Rodgers wears number 8. And again, why, to your point, like the trade isn't official. Why would they know that? Because the Jets, understandably, have already set up their marketing team to go crazy with this, as they should. I mean, that they should take every advantage of this because Rodgers is probably going to sell $60 million worth of Rodgers number 8 Jets jerseys. So the deal's not official, but obviously if you're the Jets and you're the Jets marketing team, you're not waiting until 4 days from now to start your jersey sales efforts. You're doing it now, right?
Here's what I'm going to tweet out. Because Schefter has the tweet. He's expected to wear 8. I'm quote tweeting that this is the greatest thing that Rodgers has ever done. Players respecting numbers that are retired when they go to a new team is an elite move. Credit Rodgers for being a true professional, unlike selfish losers Jerry Rice, Seahawks,
Peyton Manning.
and Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Broncos. That'll rile them up.
That'll rile up Shefty, right?
Okay. I thought I got the noise that someone joined in, but no one's there. There was another thing I wanted to read. Brian says, how do Favre and Rodgers' career match each other exactly? Like 15 plus years, one Super Bowl. Both get traded to the Jets. It's pretty wild.
Flat circle.
So if it was so unlikely to have another Hall of Famer after a Hall of Famer, it's even more like if Jordan Love's even any good, we have to assume he's going to the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
You're much more likely to be struck by lightning after you've been struck by lightning. I was just talking about how I was not going to do a Rodgers live, and here we are.
You said that? That was foolishness.
I said that the other day.
You should not have said
that. Don says 8 brings back his former bromance with Braun.
Oh, I love it. Now he can open up 812 restaurant all by himself.
Austin's gonna get a jersey. He says, "I want a Goody jersey."
Yeah, there's
He
your
says,
number.
"I'll
There's your number
stitch
0.
Goody and a number 1 on the back of a suit."
I like that.
And I think Matt Bush to the IL is confirmed.
I saw that. Yep. And they designated for assignment Javi Guerra. So the 2 guys that gave up the 9 spot yesterday or Sunday afternoon are both not with the roster. The Rooster.
They've come off of the roster. Yeah.
They're off the roster.
Oh, that would have been a great bit.
Have you done that before?
No.
That was great. I love that.
That would have been a great bit, man.
Do you know who sings that song?
Allison Chains.
Very good. Very good.
No, Matt Bush is off the roster. Yeah. Oh, what a great bit.
Yeah, I like it.
Like if I had I think I can play music actually, but I don't know, and I haven't really.
They're off the roster. Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers off the roster. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Are you going to get your tickets for Drake at Fiserv Forum this summer?
First time in Milwaukee because he never showed up.
Oh, that's right. He didn't. The ambassador of the Toronto Raptors.
From a programming standpoint, I'm going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
How should I put out the podcast for Tuesday? I'm not going to put this out right now. It's on YouTube. But as the podcast, I think I'm going to – well, it depends how the Bucks game goes. If the Bucks lose, that'll be first.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
And then I'll go to like the Bucks losing, right? The Bucks going down 3-1 is a bigger story than Aaron Rodgers getting traded, right? In my universe, it is.
In this universe, it is. Yeah. Like if the Bucks lose tonight, what's Kevin Holden leading with?
Rodgers.
Right. So in this universe, but even like in the local market, Rodgers being traded will override even a Bucks loss. But yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that's what actually happens tonight.
Well, I went to Pato this morning to cash in a couple tickets, and what I didn't know is that they don't have people to cash in for at 11 till 11. I was there at 9:30. No, I didn't get 4 like different stage pictures like Jen Latta did. Credit to her. I was just there in my sweats as a normal human man
at 9:30 on a Monday morning. Yeah.
So then I put because I had Bucks. I took the Bucks against the spread in game 2. So they do let you bet on tickets, but I couldn't cash out anywhere. So I have 1 ticket. I put 20 to win 67 on a Drew and Brooke Lopez parlay from Stats the other night. So I have to go back tomorrow. So if I'm going to go back tomorrow and do it anyway, I did put $38 on Bucks -6 for the game.
Sure.
And I think once Giannis got announced, it went up to a whopping 7.
Yeah.
And it is now 8.
You will allow full-on Bucks panic in your post-game stream if they lose tonight. You'll be on board with and allow any level of Bucks panic if in fact that were to happen. Or
I mean, to some level, you know, I'm aware of what would happen if they lose, and if they lose this series, how bad it would be. I just don't think there's conversations that I don't think we should have until series is over. And I still it's still more likely to me that the Bucks win this.
I think that's totally true. That it's more likely the Bucks win the series. But
if they lose tonight, you've got a 3-game series against the Heat, and 2 of the 3 are at home.
Yeah. Yep. But it doesn't make it impossible. But
I won't say tonight's a must win, but I'll say it's a can't lose.
Yeah. Semantics. Good for you. Okay.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Thanks for coming on.
Yep.
Paul Imig.
See you, buddy.
And this has been a live stream brought to you by our friends at Dan Shaney Insurance. Check out Dan's number below, local independent insurance agent. It's going to help you find the best price for your auto, home, and business needs. Check them out, danshaney.com. I will be live again on the same YouTube platform and in the podcast tomorrow after Bucks and Heat tonight. So we'll talk to you then. Enjoy the evening.